This episode of Things Musicians Don't Talk About is brought to you in association with the ABRSM, the Associated Board for the Royal Schools of Music. Take a musical journey around the world with the ABRSM's new woodwind syllabuses. They cover flute, clarinet, saxophone, oboe, bassoon and recorders for ABRSM practical and performance exams, grades 1 to 8 and the ARSM performance diplomas. The refreshed repertoire list features over 400 rewarding new pieces that have been carefully selected to offer musical variety, diversity and inspiration, with a record number of pieces by women composers and composers of other underrepresented backgrounds. From Vivaldi to Barbie the movie, Mussorgsky to Lin-Manuel Miranda, you'll find familiar favourites and classics alongside vibrant new pieces with roots across the world. I was particularly excited to see I'm Just Ken from Barbie the movie on the flute grade 3 list. There's something to spark every imagination. And also designed to encourage exploration and progression, there are some exciting new resources to support the teaching and learning. So check out abrsm.org/woodwind for more details. And thank you again to ABRSM for sponsoring this episode.
Things Musicians Don't Talk About is supported by the Royal Society of Musicians. Since 1738, they have been providing vital financial assistance, advice and guidance to music professionals unable to work due to accident, illness, stress or anxiety. Whether you're working as a performer, administrator, technician or teacher, and everything in between, they're there to help. If you know of someone in need, you can contact them in confidence by visiting their website, which is www.rsmgb.org, or you can contact them by ringing 020 7629 6137. Support their work by becoming a member or donating today.
Hello.
Hello.
Good day.
Good day.
Parfait. You're looking very nice. I like your hair.
Thank you.
What was the decision behind the hair? Talk us through it.
Just like, I'd always wanted to do it, but everyone's always said on the internet and elsewhere, like, you can't bleach curly hair. Like, it just, it would ruin your hair.
Really?
Because, like, curly hair is naturally dry. So if you bleach it, it makes it even worse.
And you decided to ignore those people.
And I was like, fuck you all. You can't tell me what to do.
You can't.
And also, I kind of got to a point where I was like, well, I'll do it after my holiday. And I'll think about it over the holiday and see if I still want to do it. And also because I'm not teaching anymore, there's kind of no reason not to. And I thought, well, if I can't do it now in a creative career at 29, when the fuck can I do it?
I love it.
Maybe when I'm like 60 and like people think I've just gone a bit mad. But like,
you
would quite like
mad.
to do it before. Yeah, exactly. So I'm just leaning into people's expectations of me.
I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Also has been a year since your mum died.
Yeah.
I don't know why we're starting with that.
No, that's fine.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
I know you have kind of checked in throughout the year and written some very like sort of poignant pieces about it. How do you feel like a year on? Do you feel like you've processed much? Or is it very much like you feel like at the start of it all?
I feel like because the admin is still very much ongoing and present, like in my day-to-day life, that it doesn't really feel like much has changed. Almost like, I get angry that it's still going, and I get angry that it's even necessary to be spending this much time like doing legal stuff and money stuff and spending this much money on lawyers and this kind of stuff still. But I think I definitely have processed something. I don't know what. And I think it's just become more and more apparent that grief isn't like I find it harder to define the mental illness. It's more like amorphous than like, oh, I feel depressed or I don't feel depressed. And I think that has been quite frustrating because I've spent so long being able to tell like where my mental health is at roughly.
And like articulate it.
Yeah, whereas grief just feels like it's not something that can necessarily be like cured. Not that mental illness necessarily is either, but it's almost all the therapists and all the kind of grief specialists are like, yeah, it's just a long it's so individual and it's such a long process, and you kind of can't put a sort of time scale on it, which I hate. I'm like, but I need to be done with it now.
God, yeah.
So, yeah, I still get sad about it. Mostly, I think, because, I was going to say mostly because it wasn't like a clear-cut event, and there was no like lead up to it. But I also think that actually if it had been like a long drawn out cancer or something, that would have been equally as complicated in different ways. I think you always think that your grief is the worst kind of grief.
Or that it could have been easier a different way.
Yeah, exactly. But it's probably the same for everybody.
Yeah, there will always be elements of weird kind of, or what would have, hindsight, or what would happen if it was like that, or
just what ifs.
We're going to kind of have a bigger catch up in a minute, but sort of we decided to slightly mix up the structure and maybe start with a little bit of a news segment that we're going to call Classical Strife.
If you're familiar with our newsletter, which you all should be if you're listening, kind of offended if you're not already subscribed.
It's a good letter. There will be another one incredibly soon. There might be another one by the time this comes out.
That's true. But Classical Strife is something we've put in the newsletter since the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Which is just a little segment of classical music news or something sort
like
of recent.
Something in the news that has pissed us off or upset us.
Yeah, which there's always something.
Most stuff. But it's kind of, specifically classical.
Yeah. Tell me about your strife.
Well, a few weeks ago, I got this press release through that basically said the Metropolitan Opera will be partnering with Saudi Arabia, and there's a new... You might remember a year or so ago, there was a big kerfuffle with Sarah... What's her surname? Connolly. Thank you.
I gotta sing his name.
Sarah Connolly, who performed in this new opera in Saudi Arabia. Do you know what? Like the details are not detailing.
But she had previously criticised them, right?
She previously criticised the Saudi sort of human rights abuses. And obviously Saudi Arabia is known to be somewhere which is very welcoming to visitors, but actually the way that they treat their own population is very different, very worrying. A lot of human rights abuses, a lot of concerns for the welfare of their population, and they're kind of undergoing this building of this huge royal, I think it's called the Royal Diriyah Opera House, which is going to be, it looks incredible, like the sort of architect drawings look amazing, but basically the Met has said from 2028 they're going to be sort of do a season there in the winter. And Peter Gelb, the head of the Met, basically admitted in the press release that this was a massive financial decision. He's gone to, this was a financial deal essentially between the Saudis and the Met Opera.
But the press release that I think I read, or did you send me it? I think you did send me it. Felt like it was such a shallow attempt at disguising this financial decision and being like, we're really looking forward to...
What an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, developing our relationship with Saudi Arabia.
That was the other thing. They were like, we're going to provide Saudi artists with...
That was it.
Training and stuff. And I'm sort of like,
What training?
That's nice. For like, upcoming set designers, upcoming singers.
So like work training.
Yeah, like profiling them, their work and stuff. And if that happens, great. But I think it's just, it really upset me that, so he is someone, he's married to Kerry Lynn something, I couldn't tell you. Who runs the Ukrainian Freedom Orchestra.
Yeah.
Kerry Lynn Wilson.
Yes.
And has decided a big no to Anna Netrebko at the Met. He's incredibly...
Yeah.
So there feels like a bit of a, okay, whose human rights are more important? You know what I mean?
Socially acceptable.
So I'm not loving the double standards from old Peter Gelb, but there are the double standards we've seen from old Oliver Mears as well.
Yeah.
About Ukraine. The Palestinian... The wrestling match.
The widely publicised, viral fight.
So that's just a bit of the news.
Mm-hmm. It also,
it's upsetting.
Saudi has always been such a, like, in the back of my mind always, because there are always these, we might have talked about it on the podcast before, but always these tours that go over to these like expos and this kind of stuff, that it feels like an opportunity that I would never feel comfortable saying yes to if I got asked. And I would also, if I turned it down, I would most likely feel like I'd have to say, oh, it's because I'm queer. So it's kind of like forcing you to out yourself to a fixer, which I don't mind. But then also when I talk to colleagues about it who do go over, or who say kind of flippantly like, oh, if I got asked, I'd go, without really considering the impact that it might have on somebody listening like me, that's thinking, well, actually, I don't think I could go. And for all the people that I see going without taking a stand or without saying anything, or even just saying yes a lot of the time, I just feel a bit let down by those people. I do understand that you have to take work, but you know, this is a pretty extreme example of kind of like not giving a fuck. Like, I feel like there are certain concerts that you do where you're like, oh, I just found out this person sponsors it or whatever, where it's a bit like hidden underneath.
After the travel's booked or whatever.
Yeah, but when you're literally going to Saudi Arabia, you're like,
it's icky.
Come on.
It's icky. And I think the, well, you know, this isn't meaning to sound self-righteous, but since I started opera now, I've been offered to go to Dubai Opera trillion billion times. Same with the Diriyah Opera thing, Sarah Connolly thing, and like they all wanted to pay for you to go, and they're always going on like, we'll put you up in a 5-star hotel, we'll do this and this and this, and as you say, like every time I reply saying a large percentage, well, I don't say that, but I say I'm aware I have a number of queer readers and am myself, you know, a bisexual woman. I know that they say that they're welcoming to visitors of that persuasion, but not comfy covering them. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's
like a little mini boycott in it. I feel like the strife. Stay tuned for more strife. There'll be
always more strife.
But moving on into our catch up, I know we talked a bit about. Sorry about the wool, if you're watching. I know we talked a bit about grief and, you know, the anniversary of your mum and everything. But you're in the middle of lots of busy things. Do you think that's helped kind of process the anniversary? Does busyness help you process, like, as in distraction?
I think it distracts me. It doesn't help me process necessarily. And then when I get the quiet times is when
you feel it all. But
also the quiet times come so sporadically that I actually often get a bit surprised, and I'm like, oh, I should
time to feel it all.
Yeah, or like I should process something, but I don't know how to. I don't know what I feel about this thing. Can't just like drop into it really.
That's so true.
Spontaneously.
How do we even process shit?
Yeah, I had this on holiday that I because I'd kind of joked to everybody that I was going on my grief holiday.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna be fine by the time I come back. Everything's gonna be processed. And I got to the second week of the holiday after having lain on the beach for a week, and it was beautiful. But I was like, God, I should really do something about processing this grief. Yeah. I was like, what do I do? So I went, okay, what's the most like therapist-y suggestion?
Bubble bath.
No. I'm going to write my mum a letter every day. And I did for the second week.
Oh, wow.
And it was actually quite emotional. Some of the days it was emotional in a spectrum of emotions, that most of the days I just felt pissed off that I had to do it because I'd set myself this thing.
A bit like the pages for the Artist's Way or whatever, yeah.
I was so pissed off. I was like, literally saying like, I don't want to write to you. Which in itself, I was like, oh, that's so interesting. But yeah, loads of stuff came up and I was glad I did it. And actually it made me think this is something that I can use in the future, just kind of as and when.
Yeah.
And I think it did help me process something.
Is there one thing you remember writing that kind of like has stayed with you or like surprised you?
One thing I actually talked to my therapist about it was that the format of writing a letter was really helpful because my mum would always interrupt me or like talk over me, whereas the letter not only meant that it was a format where I wasn't anticipating her interrupting me, like maybe talking out loud, like talking to her, would have felt really odd, because usually it would be like you'd just be waiting for her to interrupt. So the letter was like I'm putting my words out there. I'm not expecting a response. And also, when you write a letter to someone, you don't expect a response quickly anyway. So there was something about just...
the words are going to be sat there for a while.
There's no... I'm not anticipating a back and forth, which was quite nice, and then meant that I felt I could be a bit more honest. So that was one
sounds
thing.
Really hard. I don't know. That sounds like a hard thing to like commit to doing every day, on a holiday especially.
Yeah, I was really reluctant to do it every day. I was like, okay, here we go again. I don't want to, but no. Apart from that, I don't know. Like, I think most of the processing has been about taking care of my needs, and the classic like going outside, doing some exercise, eating well, just those kind of things that make me feel like I'm in a place to be able to really tune in to what I'm feeling.
Does it help that you're not playing a huge amount, like as in you are, but as in you're only in the second half of concerts?
Oh, for the tour?
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know, the tour feels quite busy because it's just a lot of like socialising.
That's true.
And actually I've been doing my tax return, and like actually we're in the process of this legal things. I've been having to read a lot of drafts of legal letters.
I'm fully expecting you to do like a law conversion after this.
I hate law.
Okay, you're not interested. I thought you might find it's your new passion.
No, I'm so dispassionate
You're so knowledgeable now, though.
I do have a lot of knowledge, but I also feel like I still don't know anything. Every time I read a letter or an email, I'm like, I don't understand what this is, and I have to just kind of read it again and again, and I hate it. So there's been a lot of other stuff going on. And the travel days. I mean, you never want to... When you're actually sitting on a coach for 3 hours or whatever, you don't actually get any proper work done because you're just feeling a bit like...
Do you tend to chit-chat, or do you tend to like read, or what do you do on the coaches?
Depends whether it's like an early morning coach or like a late night coach, like, because those ones people tend to be a bit sleepy, or it really depends on everybody else, what the vibe is. But we've played some good like card games and stuff. There is a lot of chit-chat.
That's nice.
Not loads of time to yourself, but it's fine. We've got one more week, then we're back.
Yay!
Yay! And how are you? Like, how is work? How is everything going? That's always the first question I ask you, is how is work? Because that's usually, I think, what you answer with.
Well, I am at a point with my work where, so we had the option to hire, or to ask the company for a new graduate.
Oh,
so
really?
we hired my assistant Holly full time, and there's still a space for a graduate, and we could make it work without one. But I'm so aware of like the gift that scheme brought me, and how lovely our team is. I sort of said, like, I'd really like to be able to introduce someone else to this and give someone else the opportunity. So last Monday, Georgia joined. Lovely Georgia. Aww. Sweet Georgia. She's very sweet. And I'm kind of in this process of like, what can work look like when it is super collaborative. It's not always been my jam, but at the moment I'm like, it's very collaborative. And teaching, there's a lot of kind of like mentorship going on, a lot of kind of ideas back and forth and thinking about the future. And I just feel like in the first few years of my job I was very solitary and stressed. Now it's just a lot more like I'm giving out a lot of responsibility to other people and sharing all that and passing on ideas, and it just feels so much more manageable.
What changed?
We hired more people.
Because you asked, or because the company just decided to?
Yeah, what did happen? Well, the magazines reduced in frequency. That was the first step. Then I got used to them both, because I was still learning what they both were.
I see. For
a long time. It took a long time to sort of know actually what it was and what I was doing with it, and who the writers were, and how, like, the relationships. I massively underestimated like how much easier it is when you have a relationship with someone, like in journalism, like a writer or like a PR or whatever, just to be able to just get things done more quickly, and you don't have to think so deeply about everything. So that changed, and now so I feel like I've got more space to sort of like think about my life outside of work. a lot more, which is good and bad, because it means I'm just feel more available to stuff. And so therefore I'm sort of feeling things that go on a lot more deeply to do with relationships and family and travel and connections, and what do I really want, and what side projects do I want to work on, and doing a lot of research into different things, and like I'm writing quite a lot about college and that process. Like last night I wrote quite a long entry about my teacher at college and turning up to her house and what that felt like every time, and the interaction with the student before my lesson, and the smells and the visual. And I hadn't like properly entered into that. I hadn't felt ready to like really remember all of the emotions and scenarios surrounding that. And I really like, I'm starting to do a lot more of that, almost like choose a part of my life and just go there and like sit in it and try and remember. I'm also talking to people about, because I have quite a lot of like memory blocks from that time. I'm trying to like jog my memory. So the last lesson that was really traumatic, that all happened with Jasmine there, because she was playing the piano.
Way.
And I haven't done it yet, but I really want to sit down with Jasmine and like,
what do you remember?
Yeah. Because actually I don't remember much, but I remember it being really monumental and just making a decision there and then that I couldn't go on. And I remember Jasmine, I do remember her being incredibly upset and shocked with what had gone on. But yeah, I think part of remembering often does, like there is a fictional element to it, because how much of what I'm remembering is like true.
Yeah.
And I also love that maybe other people can influence that and like help craft that. And because each one of her students will have a different memory of the house and of the space. And
well, also because you'd had that recording of your lesson, hadn't you, that you'd listened to and been like, oh, this actually is different from what I remember.
Yeah, so different. I seem to remember being much more empowered for some reason. I seem to remember having a lot more autonomy, but I had absolutely none. So remembering that is like an interesting process. And I'm loving just having like, I'm saying no to a lot more operas.
Nice.
I'm saying no to a lot more concerts. I'm just saying no to more shit so that I think that's part of the processing question. It's like sometimes processing means like writing. Sometimes it means like sitting in front of my incense burner.
Yeah.
And being like, the fuck?
Well, I think that's why it's hard to answer the question, like, how do you process something?
Yeah.
Because it is different for every issue. Every day looks different. Every like phase of life looks different. It changes all the time.
The other thing that I've been doing so much of is reading. Like last year, I read like 6 books in total. And this year, if I haven't got a book on the go, then I'm lost. I mean, you've always got a book on the go, but like, I mean, I now wake up like an hour earlier, literally to read, and not because I'm trying to be clever. Literally because if I don't do that, I'm like, oh my god, I won't have a morning. I really want a morning. I want myself to like live in the morning and do coffee things and book things in the morning. So I've read literally this summer. When I was in Scotland, my parents have this beautiful porch, and I would just sit on the porch every morning from 8 till 9 and just read. And there was all like, I went through a lot of books, and most of them were like my genre of self-help non-fiction.
Sorry for the butt.
I've read one fiction book.
Oh yeah.
Hot Milk.
Oh,
have you read that?
No, but you recommended it to me.
I think you'd like it.
I think it's the kind of fiction I could get behind, because there's like sex in it, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
And there's sex with boys and girls.
Shit. Okay.
I know.
That sounds like non-fiction to me.
It sounds good. It sounds like your life. So that was nice. And then I went to Tenerife and like read the whole time in Tenerife. That was just lovely. For some reason, books have just like become something new and something very, because it's like the one thing that sort of goes when you're busy. You feel like you can't read.
Yeah, or it's either physical time, or it's that when you're actually on public transport or wherever you would usually read, your brain, you can't click in. You just want to sit there and disassociate.
Exactly. You don't want to get your book out. It's quite hard to like want to.
You have to be in the practice of reading, I think.
Yeah, that's why it is a practice of like, because I know that's the time that I do it.
Well, it feels like it's the same as I imagine being in the practice of meditating. Like, it's that skill of focus. And if like you have to have focus to read, and actually when I'm busy, I just feel completely unfocused all the time. So yeah, it's all kind of there are positive parts of having less on and sort of more negative parts. I think I can get more obsessive when I'm less busy. So the kind of meat of this episode, the tofu, was going to be about politics and hopelessness. And you kind of messaged me saying you wanted to do an episode or even an investigation into hopelessness. But I thought maybe we could sort of start the conversation here. Yeah.
And because I'm interested in what do you mean when you talk about hopelessness in classical music? And when do you feel it most?
I suppose what I meant initially was the feeling of, well, nothing's getting better. And if nothing's getting better, where is it going? And alongside that, a sense of like apathy that particularly classical musicians seem to hold, which then creates this sort of energylessness surrounding like the future of, I mean, classical music, but also anything. And I think because when I'm freelancing around, there's a lot of hanging around with people and chatting, and I feel like whenever the conversation goes a little bit deeper than small talk, it always ends with someone going, oh, well, that's life. Because there's nothing that we can say to wrap up the conversation in a positive manner. Like, we'll be talking about almost anything, like whether I recently like making tax digital or, you know, like Palestine or Arts Council.
Tax or Palestine, there's nothing in the middle.
Honestly. So that's sort of what I meant. And also that I was curious about when this hopelessness had started, because I have never, as a professional musician, I've never been in an era where I felt like there was genuine hope for the future, partly because I graduated into the pandemic and everyone was just like, what the fuck is going on? And I think maybe there was a sense of hope that things would change in terms of like diversity or what music could do for people coming out of the pandemic. But there's always seemed to be a sense of things are just sliding downhill all the time.
Is that partly our fault, me and you? Because part of being honest about this shit is that there is a kind of inevitable hopelessness. Maybe as a paradox of actually in some ways you feel more hopeful, but you also see everything for the truth of what it is. Whereas maybe before the pandemic, everyone was more operating in a toxic positivity, you know.
But I also don't know if that, like that toxic, almost like obliviousness or like willful ignorance ever felt particularly hopeful.
No, that's
like,
true.
Because actually once you start looking forwards into what the future might be, then you've got to sort of face things head on, and then the hopelessness comes in, I think. Like the toxic positivity that I've experienced has usually been about the moment and like everything's, you know, look at this and that's lovely and oh, you know, blah. Rather than, oh, I can't wait for next year's Arts Council budget to come out. And I also think that it is heightened for me by doing work like this and also being a freelancer, and things feel quite isolated sometimes, and hopelessness thrives on isolation.
What do you think you're feeling when you're feeling hopeless about it? What do you think you're feeling most hopeless about? Or is it like a combination?
I think the thing that I feel most hopeless about is the sense that there's all this energy going into like diversifying and improving access and all these things that are on the surface very positive and really hopeful. But underneath this is a crumbling of the foundation of the financial sustainability of the industry. And it's almost like the toxic positivity route would say, oh, but things are getting better, and, you know, there's more women in brass, or, you know, look at Chineke, and, you know, all these things that are real, like, trailblazing projects and all the amazing things that people are doing. But we know that the most financially viable option is always the traditional option, is always the one that's funded by the richest people who don't share these values necessarily. And as the work, we're feeling like there is less work, there are more musicians, but at the same time there are more professional musicians leaving the industry because it's not sustainable anymore, or there are more professional musicians having to take on 2 jobs essentially. How can those two exist at the same time? And why are we not talking about that? Like, where does this go?
I also worry about, like, people feeling pressure to make art or make projects in order to get the funding, and not actually feeling that they can create what they really want to make just because it's great and beautiful and fascinating and in line with what they love. I think it's all kind of now tied up with, well, I can't make that because no one will see it as valuable because it's not catering to these minority, I mean, it's you know, it's not catering to this very specific version they have in their head of what it means to be inclusive, or what it means to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a artificial sense of creativity.
Exactly, that's what it feels, is like artificial.
And I also just feel that, I mean, on a broader sense, that, you know, with the way that the world is seemingly going, that if we're getting more right wing, like, I'm not sure that will come with arts funding. I'm not sure that will come with more viable opportunities for musicians to actually have a career making the art that they want to, without feeling censored, without having to return to more traditional programs and setups, and, like, losing diversity and inclusion. And I worry that the narrative of, well, music heals all, and you know, music is this universal language, that's not really enough under, like, fascism, really. Like, an evening of music with your friends that you put on is beautiful and really valuable in, like, when I was thinking about that, I was thinking about, like, well, what can you do in the face of hopelessness? And I was thinking about building community and you know, creating, like, passion and energy in your social circles. That needs to, unfortunately, go hand in hand with genuine, like, organisation, political action, like, finding power.
I also wonder if, like, whether musicians feel the work they're doing is, like, viable or valuable when we are looking at things like genocide. And I think I worry that a lot of people feel like if they can't directly, you know, if their work isn't directly improving this terrible situation we're seeing in politics or whatever, if you're not making, like, a direct impact on someone's life. Like, I often would look at my flatmates who are nurses and think, God, it must be really nice to go to work and know that you're always going to be helping someone. Whereas I wonder with classical musicians and artists in general, how much is the hopelessness sometimes from how much do you know who you're helping, or if you're even helping anyone?
Yeah. And I would also say that there's a large proportion of people that think, well, I'm a musician, music helps people, and then the thought process stops there.
Really?
That there's, like, a default of, oh, but, you know,
does it?
Art. Yeah, like, you know, you talk to people in orchestras and they just don't really, like, think about the social impact that they're having, because I think a long time ago they were like, oh, well, music is this beautiful thing, and then they just haven't thought about it. Kind of
take it for granted, maybe.
Yeah, and actually don't think about,
that would be nice,
it's not reaching the right people, and it does frustrate me, because, I mean, creative people are you know, our role is to think laterally about things and to think creatively about things. And so if you think, well, I'm not having a direct impact on genocide, surely there would be some sense of like, okay, well, what can I do? Or maybe there is some way that I can feel like I'm impacting something. I think when we feel hopeless, we lose energy, and it's very easy to go, well, okay, well, I just won't think about it. And the number of people I've come across, on a slightly separate note, but that have said, you know, well, I've deleted all the news apps on my phone. It was just stressing me out too much. And I understand, and I do, you know, taking a break from the news, particularly specific media outlets, is really important. But then there's no sense of, well, what's your plan after that? Like, how long are you going to take a break from the news? What are you going to do in the meantime? I understand you've got to kind of like hibernate for a little bit and gather energy again, but so that you can then go forward and do something. And I don't know, people are just really checked out, and I really understand it as a defense mechanism or like a coping mechanism. But
do you not think there are also people in society there are people who are more wired for action, and there are people who are more wired for contemplation? And should we really put judgment on either? There's kind of the faith side of it. Would argue that, I'm not saying that this is the people who delete their news app, by the way, because actually nuns,
you heard it here first, Christians hate news.
Nuns are like the most news up-to-date people ever.
Yeah.
In my experience, they get their newspaper every day. They are like so switched on with the radio, like they need to know what they're praying about. But there are different energies and brains who are more wired for articulating action and going after action, and there are people who maybe make change in their community or support through different means, and maybe can only affect the smaller bubble they're in at this very moment in time.
I totally agree, but I think that's to do with what we see as action. Like, I would say that is action.
Yeah, okay.
And that we can only really affect our immediate environment, usually, unless you're literally the Prime Minister or something.
I wish.
Do you?
I love power.
Yeah,
I'd love to
collaborative
be the Prime
power
Minister.
is really your skill. But no, I think this is the thing, that when we think of action, people think of going on protests and getting arrested as like the tip, like that's peak action. But actually, like cooking for your neighbours, or like cooking for your friends, or reading up on things so that you can have conversations with people, sharing things on social media, like such small things, that is all action. And if we only do, like, the people that go on protests and get arrested, that is such a small part of this whole network of things that we don't think about what happens behind the scenes. What about the people that like emailed the newsletter around saying like there's a protest, the people that supplied the snacks, you know, that's just the protest side of it. But there's all this stuff that you can pick your corner. And I totally agree that some people are wired to be more contemplative and do this stuff literally from home, or with just you and your best friend doing something.
There are also different times in your life where you have more space,
of course,
for that. Yeah,
you can't be on all the time.
But I think what is easy to do is to put judgment on people that aren't acting.
I judge people.
You do judge people.
If somebody doesn't act at all and has no intention of ever acting because they see it as somebody else's job, I actually think that's a total moral failing.
And you would judge that in them?
Yeah. If they see themselves as apolitical, or if they see it as somebody else's job all the time, I really judge that.
But do you not think that might come from a trauma or a place of, ignorance isn't always kind of deliberate? I think it could also come from, like, just not feeling, like, just having a mental block to that whole thing, and, like, I just cannot unlock that for myself right now.
If it's right now, like I understand, if you have the self-awareness to say, I have a mental block about this thing and therefore I can't engage with this thing.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, okay.
But that sounds very specific, that somebody has a block about X. And then I'm like, okay, well, what about all these other things? Or if you have the mental block about it, is there something you can do to unblock that?
How do you know they're not doing things about it?
Well, I mean,
in their own
sure,
way.
I don't know, but there's lots of people I see in classical music, for instance. I mean, okay, social media is not the be-all and end-all of activism at all, and neither should it be. But the people that just observe, the people that have never been to a protest, never shared anything, never talked, like when the conversation comes up, has never researched anything, has never read the news about it, has never really shown an interest about it, has never supported a friend who actually wants to do something about it. Just a general taking a back seat. And of course, I can never know, maybe they're donating once a month to something.
This is the thing I would challenge, is that I think they could be only watching on social media, but there could be more reflection and action going on in a different way. And I know what you're saying, probably not. Most likely probably not. But I think there is also a sense of, there are areas of politics and areas of activism that different people have different strengths with, because you know, I don't for myself feel, and I don't think I ever really, I'm not someone that shares stuff about Palestine, not because I don't care, but because it's a weird mental block for me, because, and I can't actually tell you why right now, but for example, trans rights, I feel incredibly compelled always to share stuff about trans rights. I don't know what it is. There's like something in me I can't not. I so love trans people. I so care about their cause. I so believe that they deserve rights. And it's not that I don't believe that about Gaza, but I just feel, this maybe is it, I feel very secure in how I feel and in what I've understood, and I almost feel like powerful that I can support them. I feel very at sea about Gaza, and I feel like anything I'm sharing, it just feels too much to kind of put a stamp on something for me right now. That's just how I feel. Whereas with trans stuff, I'm like, yes, I know that for some reason it feels right to share that.
How did you get to that point with trans rights though?
That's a good point.
Because I understand that, but I also am like, okay, well, is there stuff you could be doing to feel more secure? Is it your opinion? Is it that you're worried about someone, you know, because you work in a sort of high profile, like people message you about you having the wrong opinion sometimes. Is it that you're worried about people coming for you? Like,
I think I'm very aware of I'm very aware of the mentality that some people have of seeing some form of activism and switching off. And they almost see you, it goes beyond what's going on in Gaza. They see you sharing something as making them feel guilty, that they're not doing something. There's a kind of that thing. And I guess when I'm sharing the trans stuff, I'm not even thinking about making other people feel guilty. It's just I really believe I need to raise awareness. With Gaza stuff, I feel like if I put this on social media, I'm going to make people feel guilty that they're not doing more, or I'm going to... It just feels for me more icky and complicated. And I don't know why, because it's not complicated. Children are starving. Like, it's not actually that complicated.
I'm curious, like, who you think would feel guilty about it. Like, do you have specific people in mind?
I have spoken to a lot of people in the older generation who are, you know, and people who are more, I guess, conservative or politically moderate, that are scared about the way that action is being demonstrated, and the kind of, on the sort of extreme end, how that politically is looking, and how some of the protest groups are behaving. And we've had this debate with like Just Stop Oil, I think a lot of people are very kind of scared by that action and the ideology, and you know what I mean? I talk a lot to those people, and I really sense the fear of what being associated with that is. And I think a lot of people don't want to come down on either side because they're scared of like being associated with not violence, but like judgment, really. Judgment and in something that it is complicated for a lot of people.
It just makes me sad that you feel like you can't share stuff because it would make other people feel guilty.
I don't know if it is truly that as well. I worry, I think I have a big mental block around looking self-righteous, and that is an ego thing. I think, if I share this, I'm going to look like I think I know more, or like I think I'm doing something. Whereas, awareness is great, but actually the people that are going to see it are mostly people that agree with me. How much is it really doing? That's always my question.
I agree, and I also think that like there's never any harm in filling other people's feeds with more stuff that points in the right direction. Like, it terrifies me that some people's feeds will have almost nothing about Palestine on.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And I realise that my feed is almost all Palestine stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, I might repost something because just in the hope that it might that small percentage of, I imagine like social media is like a space as like being filled with just something more pro-Palestine. Because again, yeah, like, I mean, I have a private Instagram account. All I'm really doing is sharing to like however many people that follow me. But social media is such a void that we all shout into. But at least I feel like I'm shouting the right stuff. And I don't really, at the end, I mean, I maybe sometimes tip over too much into that. I don't give a fuck what other people think. Like, I just need to know that I was doing the right thing at this time.
I just always want to look beyond social media as to what is the right thing, and like what actually is happening, and what actually can be done, and what actually can be donated, and what actually can be communicated to our MPs. I think sometimes social media is used as a way of people being like, oh, I've done my bit now.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And so I think it's just that, because of that, I'm worried that I'll forget that I actually haven't done fuck it with anything. If I post on social media, I might think I have. And actually I could be focusing on doing actual concrete shit.
What I've also found really interesting is the number of people, like, it's only a small percentage, but I've seen several people only posting Palestine stuff to their close friends' stories. And I think that's intriguing. Yeah. That they feel so hampered by, I guess, their careers, or like the worry of specific people seeing that they are pro-Palestine, that they really want to be sharing something, or about any political stuff really, but they don't feel that their general followers should see it. And that makes me...
That's so annoying.
It just actually perpetuates what I feel about the classical music industry, actually, is that a lot of people really want to say something but don't feel that they can.
It's at the risk. It's like a whisper. It's like, ooh.
Or like, please know that this is my opinion, but please don't tell this person.
Like that. It's like, please don't tell anyone else. It's like, fuck you. I really don't like that.
I know. I just, at this point, I mean, what are we, like 2 years into a genocide? Do you really feel that your career as a freelancer, for instance, is going to really be damaged by you just sharing something on social media? Maybe more high profile stuff, but like orchestral musicians.
No, but people are really, really scared.
Of course. And I mean, this goes back to like the hopelessness thing, that there is less work, there's less pay, like...
People are terrified of, anything they say. And I see it constantly in interviews as well. And so do you.
Yeah.
People who are like, delete that, delete that, delete that. Don't say that. I don't want to say that. Don't want to say that. And it's really annoying because you end up with an interview that's very shallow. And I wish people felt more confident to stand behind there.
Yeah. And I also, at the end of the day, like, we're weighing up these Palestinian lives, say we're talking about Palestine specifically, we're weighing up these lives against your curated classical music career. I really feel that is really icky, that people are saying. And I know that, you know, we have to work and we have to get money in order to live our lives and be able to take action, for instance. But there's this constant, like, valuing yourself above all of these people and what they're going through. It sometimes just makes me feel like, quite annoyed that people can be so perpetually, it verges on selfish and like self-centered.
Yeah, I think they probably don't see the two as being interconnected at all.
100%.
And there has to be a certain amount of like self knowledge or like even self-criticism to be able to feel secure enough to like.
That is, self-preservation. And like, we have to preserve ourselves to some extent.
Yeah.
But to what extent? You
Yeah.
know?
But I also think, you know, you could say the same thing about climate change.
Yeah.
We're all kind of obliviously continuing with our lives while the earth burns.
Mm-hmm.
How much is it that it's what we have to do in order not to literally feel our brains explode with how horrific it's all going to become? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we can't hold everything in mind all the time, but then the decision to kind of switch off completely.
No, it's very scary.
It's a balancing act. You have to go into the issue, come out of the issue, go into the issue, come out of the issue.
I think that people don't realise they're allowed to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be everything all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We should probably start wrapping up.
Fascinating.
Yeah, good one. Nancy's just like, shut up.
She literally is so done.
Win of the week?
Oh, God. I bought some new trousers yesterday.
Oh, really? I would like to recall back to maybe 2022.
I can't think of things.
About...
I shouldn't be expected to think of things.
Me being criticised for talking about shampoo.
I found a really good shampoo though now. I'm like really happy with it.
Look how the tables have
it's
turned.
It's called it's Monday.
Oh, she's just going to go more into it.
It's Clarify.
Yeah, I bet it's lovely. You can only get it in
Superdrug.
I bet it's great.
It's the only one that doesn't make my hair greasy.
I'm glad that's your win of the week.
I can't be bothered to be self-reflective and congratulatory. But bought new trousers. Bought new shampoo.
Why is it a win? Like, genuinely. Tell me why it feels...
Well, it doesn't. So
Oh.
I was just, as I said, it really doesn't feel
there
like...
must be something.
There is definitely something.
What about Tenerife? We'll talk about that next time, but...
Yeah, stay tuned.
Big
I don't really want to go into it. It feels like the end of therapy session where you like want to drop a big bomb. Or maybe I should drop a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Stay tuned for episode 2.
I've been back in a little depression hole, which has been weird to navigate. And I guess the win of the week is existing within that, and finding ways of like processing the past and present, and it just whenever you live with some kind of depression, it's just the win, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, just keeping going.
Because it's been coupled with like, stay tuned, darker thoughts, and for the first time in a long time. So we've like got through it, and we've not only got through it, but it feels like we're safe and we're secure and we're actually okay with living alongside it for a bit. Stay tuned for more.
That was quite a big contrast between buying trousers and getting
But this
through.
is what I mean, is because I'm not, I'm either the real absolute icing sugar layer, or it's going to be the fucking jam and cream.
Base.
Let's get going.
Yeah. Nice.
What's your win of the week?
I've been trying to be more like proactive and transparent to myself and Stu about money, because I find it really hard, and like
Stay tuned.
financially just been in such a bad way for the past few years. So I'm like doing something about it, and like I talked to her. I mean, it's partly wrapped up in like inheriting my mum's pension, but I talked to her financial advisor as well, and I'm going to work with her as well, just to like actually get some shit off the ground, you know, and like, yeah, just being a bit more,
Not live like
yeah, exactly. And part of that is
audio description. I'm covering my eyes.
she's covering her eyes like a little, I don't know, scared
No
child.
I am not going to look.
I can't see
I'd
it.
rather not to look.
I think also the problem has been that I just haven't had any money. So like, even if you open your eyes, you're like, well, I haven't got any money. Like, cool. What am I going to do about that? So yeah, just trying to do something about it, you know. So yeah,
That's actually huge.
I find it so uncomfortable. I actually like tried to talk about it in therapy as well a few times, just to be like, how do I feel about money?
Oh God,
Which she was like, that's
it's
really
absolutely
interesting.
huge. Well,
It's horrible.
congratulations. I really want to hear more about that.
Thanks. Cool. All right. Well, this would be nice. And also, forgot to mention, yes, I have been drinking out of a TMDTA mug. We don't sell these. This was a gift from my brother.
But please do share our podcast with your friends.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can actually add comments on Spotify as well.
Oh, leave us a comment.
Yeah, someone left one this week actually. It was
They did. About my breakdown episode.
yeah. So yeah, go and like write to us or like and subscribe, I guess.
And also,
follow.
I'm really bad at promoting my blogs, but I am also
Yes.
writing blogs. If you
I'm
wanna,
not.
I was trying to remind you if you actually want to go, like maybe don't, but also if you want to, like,
It's on our website
go
on the
read
blog.
them.
On the blog bit. Go read them.
And join the Patreon if you want to.
Yeah, from £1 a month. And then you can have access to our peer support groups, which are monthly. A lovely little group where we meet and just shoot the shit.
And extra chatty episodes. Last 2 months have been from me oversharing.
Will be my turn
ranting.
soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Great. Cool. Thanks. Bye.